One of the things that we did during COVID was we thought like, hey, not everyone is going to be coming to the museum, and so we started, we were working on something called Playful learning landscapes. And so those are actually museum exhibits that are going to be out in the community. And so there will be one at the practice fields here. They'll all be installed, I think, by November, and then another one down at 2nd Avenue Playground. And then those will be story wheels and a puzzle wall. One's out here, and so we're working on doing some others as well. And so we're really excited about that because we realize that not everyone will maybe come to the museum, but we recognize how important play and learning are. So it's just kind of a marriage of how kids learn and also what's already happening in our community. So partnering with the school and 2nd Avenue Playground, say like what you're doing is really important too, and like we just want to kind of recognize that the urban environment should be really beautiful, and everybody should be able to have access to good, playful things. So, yeah.
All right. Welcome to the Pulse Project. Pandemics had an effect on everyone, whether it's physical health, mental health, effects of being isolated, financial stress, and more. This project's designed to show you the resources you have available to help you move forward during these tough times. Welcome to the Pulse Project. It's been brought to you by Bank, Community Development Partnership, and Witted Media.
A museum in the heart of Beaver Falls. How did we get here? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, I guess I will take that. We'll go back to 2015, and I was working at the Carnegie Free Library of Beaver Falls. Beaver Falls actually received one of 50 grants that were Community Innovation Zone grants aimed at just connecting parents, the school, and community organizations to better equip our young people. And I got to be a part of that working at the library. And so one of the outcomes that we didn't hit really well was just the parent engagement piece. And so I love museums, always took my kids to museums, go to museums myself, and just know it's a really great way to connect parents and kids together because it's really fun. And so just started researching, pulling together an advisory board back in 2018, and we actually were called BF Kids at the time. And then in 2019, we incorporated under Neighborhood North Museum of Play. And so, that's just a really abridged version. And so these two have been with me from the beginning, actually, from the advisory board all the way to the first founding board.
And you're the two of the 18. I think I read that there was 18 board members?
In the very beginning, yeah.
Okay.
We have, I think, 15 now.
And y'all fired the rest of them.
I think we fired the rest of them, yeah. Actually, we have quite a few who have been with us the entire time.
From the original board.
Yeah. Which is remarkable, I think. So, through COVID, through everything else, it's been awesome. So,
you said after 2015 you were doing a lot of research. Mm-hmm. What did you find in your research about museums and the community? Like, what stood out to you the most in your research?
Yeah, well, one of the things is that play and curiosity are really important factors for learning and for just the wellness, the well-being of our children and the way that they learn. So museums do that. They introduce new ideas in ways that other things just don't. And so I think that was one of the big points that I learned. But also, I think a lot of times, like, so when young people learn or are having fun when they're learning, they're connecting multiple sensory things while learning, especially with a trusted adult. There's a congruence there, right? And they remember that information in ways that are different than just sitting still. And so that's a really important thing. So like playing while learning is just the natural way that kids are supposed to be learning, especially from 0 to 5, which is when 90% of our brain development happens. And so museums offer not only new information, but they also offer information through playing. And so those are two really important things that occur in a space like a children's museum. And when you have it in a space that's accessible to people who might not be able to get down to a city or a cultural district, that offers accessibility. And so especially in places where maybe there's community trauma or there's systemic racism, those are really important things to, I think, consider when we think about what it means to be under-resourced, right, or offering more resources in a place. So, yeah, I mean, just when we're considering building up an educational ecosystem, and we were talking about working at the library, working with the school districts, and working with all the other things that are happening here, a children's museum, yeah, I think focuses on specifically those kids from 0 to 5.
Yeah.
0
That's
to 8.
dope.
She's so brilliant.
Right.
Like she is so brilliant. And like she's like so modest too, because she's like, this started, with an idea, but like it really started as a dream. Like this really was a dream of Christine's. And it was like something that was like in her, right? From like the moment like we've met. It was in her to just create this space of like learning and growing in like any way, in a community way, in a loving way, in a like get your hands dirty way. And from the very beginning, like when we met, whenever you were working, and I know you were working before this, but whenever you were working at the library, we were always trying to come up with things and always trying to fill holes. And she came up with this fill for this hole and was like, I want to create a museum. And that is like crazy to think about, right? Like think of like you see this here right now, but this was just a thought in her head. Like, and for her to put so much intention in it, and she has been so driven, and like regardless of any of the setbacks, any of the attempts to discourage, any of that, she is like steadfast in it and has created something so beautiful for our community. I mean, like, it has been an honor to watch you create this for us.
With an
seeing
amazing
that.
team, I'll be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll say one thing too. So Seth and I were talking before, just as he was setting up, and I think our personal narrative always impacts us to a certain degree, and I think it marries what we do with our professional life as well. And so I think the way that I see God just kind of weaving that story together is that I was married for 20 years, and then I life happened, and then I was a single mom for since 2011, and I just saw the difference in the ability to access resources when you are a single parent as opposed to a married family, right? And that looks different. And there are struggles that are not fair and that are not just. And so just having, I guess, the opportunity to live different experiences also gives me the perspective of knowing that, bringing a lot of good things with me, but also knowing that, systemic injustice is a thing, and that there are ways to alleviate those things too. And so I think knowing that museums are something that my older kids got to experience a lot more readily than my younger son, and I had to do a lot more work to make sure that he accessed those same resources, means that like if you don't know about that, if you don't have those abilities to access things that promote curiosity, then you're not going to know that you don't know that.
Yes.
And that promotes more unjust cycles of lack of opportunities and lack of knowledge. And just wanting that, just working with the kids here, Colby and I have done that for so many years, and seeing their amazing potential, just wanting every kid to have the same access. I mean, whatever you do with that access is up to everybody else, right? But just having it here and available is, I think, what Diana, Colby, and the rest of our team really wants for everybody in Beaver Falls, Beaver County.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I thank you guys for being here, because this does expose this community, the youth, to something different. Because I know growing up, I feel like Tiger Paws was it, and I was thankful for them.
Yes.
They kept a lot of us out of trouble. So just to have something different. And as I was doing my research, that word curious just kept coming back. Curious. I'd love to dive deeper into that to make people understand the power in curiosity. And so if we could talk a little bit more about that.
I'll take a stab at this. So one of the things that's so important about curiosity is when kids start learning, they're learning kind of in an unafraid way. They haven't been stifled or said that's not the way to do it. Kids are naturally curious. They're trying to figure out the world around them. And a place like a museum nurtures that and says, it's safe to make mistakes here, right? If the marbles go the wrong way down the maze, it's okay. You figured something out about that. Whereas in a more traditional setting, it's let's sit and do this worksheet and count. And all of those are important skills that need to be mastered, but doesn't create the same kind of curiosity and engagement where I can figure this out. It's not just someone else telling me. I'm figuring it out myself. And I'm a psychologist by training, so psychologists will talk about kind of kids being natural scientists. They're trying to figure out the world around them. And what we want to do is nurture that so it still stays with them, even when other contexts aren't necessarily nurturing that same kind of goal.
All right. I love that. I really do.
Yeah, perspective, it allows even the parents, it allows the parents to open up their perspective in a safe way, because it gives them kind of a little bit of room to also make mistakes, to also question. They don't have to know what's on the worksheet. They don't have to know what those instructions say or mean. They can figure out themselves and figure out what the meaning is for them through play and through learning through play. So it just opens up another avenue for another experience.
All right.
And also when people are curious, though, they're looking for other information and also trying to see things from different perspectives. It also, long term, is good for our community and just well-being of individuals. It allows us to understand other people's perspectives, which is really helpful, I think, especially now more than ever. And it allows people to start looking for other information that they don't already know, too.
Right. I agree. Especially in this community, I feel like growing up, a lot of the avenues, if we're talking careers, being curious in that way to see what else is out there, because growing up, I wasn't a great athlete, but I'm like, man, sports is my way. You know what I mean? Although I'm a musician, I'm creating. I didn't see an avenue there, though. But with sports, I did. And so just activating that curiosity can help a younger kid say, even sports and entertainment. Wait, what engineering, STEM, what are all these other different things, man? So that's definitely great that you guys are doing this. On the other end of exposing people, growing things, I'd love to hear more for someone out there who wants to build something, a nonprofit or a business. And this is a question for all of you. From 2015 to the day the doors opened, what does that journey look like? What are those challenges that you said, I'm still going to keep going? You know what I mean? Because it's tough. I'd love for them to hear how tough it is and how to keep going.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it, because I do think people look and say oh, well, you can just do this. I think being here and loving this community so much, we know you don't want to make promises, right, that you're not going to keep. I think that happens a lot. And so just wanting to be thoughtful and prayerful about the steps we're taking. So lots of research, lots of training, lots of, on my end, because I am more of a creative than a HR person. So I had to learn all of those different things and did lots and lots of hours of training on all of those things and brought, I think, building a team, right, of people committed to it who also have the skills that I don't have, which is really important. And so, building a really good foundation of, board regulations, but also a business plan, right? Having to do that and go through, meeting with museum executives from across the country. And a museum actually is an institution. And so, we're a part of the Association of Children's Museums. So this is a little bit different than a regular nonprofit, but becoming parts of nonprofit boards as well. And so just doing all of that background work to say this sounds like a great idea, but maybe it's totally crazy. And so just taking my business plan and talking to other people about it and asking for really good advice from people I trust. So that was, I think, the first things I did. And then once, you kind of feel okay, this is good, doing some community input. We've spent a year and a half being a museum without walls, so being in the community of Beaver Falls, saying you might not be asking for a children's museum, but it seems like you're asking for the values that a children's museum would bring to the community. And so wanting to make sure that we were doing it with the folks of the community. And so, once we kind of were doing that, then it was amazing because then COVID hit. And so then, actually we were able as a new museum to kind of shift and pivot and open learning pods for the students and working with the school district and Trails to do that and serve about, I think, 100 some kids during that time. We were open 4 days a week and then all of the things that we thought we knew, this was actually kind of one of those crazy blessings, but we were able to just, talk to some of the funders who had funded us and able to use the funding to do that, and then really get to know the students that way and really realize, like, oh yeah, all of the inequities we thought were a thing are really, really, true. This is a real need in the community. We brought in teaching artists, and we really did an arts integrated program, and we said, like, museum learning is actually very effective. And so that was a huge blessing and a real affirmation to us being here, and our organization, I think, came out stronger that way. And so I would say, like, those are the things that we did, but we had a really good foundation in place first, and I think that's why we were able to be successful during that time.
All right. I hope for anybody out there who wants to build, you're listening, if you caught all of those, and correct me if I'm wrong. Number one, you said you learned. You were continuously learning things that you were unsure of.
Continuously learning, yeah.
You were delegating. You figured out the areas where you weren't strong at, and you surrounded people around you who were good in those areas. Yeah. You also, I heard, mentorship, because you were reaching out to others, showing them your business plan, research, seeing if this will work. And number 4 was, pivoting during hard times and staying focused.
And I think one thing that it's important to is working with our community, really doing a lot of community listening. I think we spent a lot of time doing that continuously. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're always seeking input from the community where we're located to say, is this actually meeting the needs that you have, right?
Yeah. So the context, museums are great in lots of places. Is it good here? Is it meeting the context of Beaver Falls and Beaver County? So.
Okay. So number 5 is feedback. Looking for feedback from people. Okay. So this program partnered with Community Development, Black Action Network Community, showing lower income communities, small businesses, the resources they have available to them, specifically coming out of COVID and going through COVID. So what are some of how were you guys somewhat of a resource during COVID and even now?
Yeah.
I think another thing that kind of like made us successful was our intent when it came to the consumer. When you're starting a business or whatever you're starting, you have to really hone into what your target market is and really understand it. And with all the community listening that we did, we really put that to work. We really were intentful with the information that we was getting. It wasn't just information gathering for numbers, for statistics. We wasn't gathering the information and to see how we could build anything. We were gathering to serve, and I think that kind of gave us the leg up for COVID. It's because we all come from a servant heart. And so we were all like, okay, how can the museum serve the community it's in this moment? And really looking at that and being intentful with it. And understanding like, okay, like Christine is brilliant. And so she was already, and God had already put on her heart to be thinking about the education inequities before the big pandemic even happens. She was on it already, right? Like using her discernment and wisdom to know, like, I need to study this. This is going to be a part of something, It didn't have to make sense then, but she knew, and she was wise. And watching her, I learned so much because she's wise in what she does. She's intentful in what she does. And so she was learning about these inequities before the pandemic happened. So she had it already. And we came together and was like, what are we going to do with these kids? And she was like, we are going to keep maintaining that gap. If we can't make the gap better right now, we're just going to at least maintain it. And so we did what we could within the realms of what the museum was to serve the consumer that we were called to serve through this museum. And I think it was just intentfulness is what really kind of just gave us that one up to really be able to hit the mark and do what we were called to do truly.
Cool. That kind of gives me an idea for a TikTok. You guys have a TikTok?
We don't. We should.
We don't. You can use your TikTok skills here.
Yeah, you can.
Because I'm thinking about a possible niche. Because the ages you kind of focus on, would you say, are up to
0 to 8.
0 to 8.
Yeah, 0 to 10 if we stretch it.
Because if you could, because I'm always looking for activities to do with my 4-month-old and my 2-year-old. And I remember during COVID, every day you guys were putting out activities
Yeah,
and different
we were
things.
doing videos, yeah.
You could do that on TikTok.
We can.
We can.
And that could blow. And if you just focus on those activities versus, because people will get on and they'll be like, Neighborhood North, come on down, Monday through Friday. Nobody cares about that. They specifically coming for value,
Right.
how
Yeah.
to cook. There's blueberry, whatever they were. I forgot what blueberry.
It was
There you
blueberry
go.
pie. So good. So good.
But they
Yeah.
want to come specifically for that, and that could be a niche somewhere around there. You know,
Yeah.
something.
You guys are on it. This is you have to know your skill set. Like
Right. We'll bring it to the next board.
exactly.
Thank you.
Come on down.
For that idea.
Yeah.
You can come to the next board.
Sure. I'd love to help out.
No, she has to tell you you can. I can't. I just invite everybody.
Colby is not allowed to invite people to a meeting.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's not a party, although it should be. Yeah, it's a fun board.
Especially when there's rainbows outside. This building just does something to you. It like just brings like so much color and joy. Like it's just the colors on the wall and the all of the setup. It's just the
And the windows.
The windows like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we're dedicated to play and fun, so there's
Yeah.
that.
There's that too.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I personally like about the windows, I mean, there's so much natural light, but we're transparent for the community.
Yes.
Like anybody walking by this block knows what we're doing and sees what we're doing.
Oh my
There's
goodness.
nothing hidden. There's no like agenda. We're here. This is what we're doing. Come join us.
I mean, there's countless times during the week that, because I live in this neighborhood, that like I drive past, I'm like, oh, look. And like I love seeing a bus. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The best thing in the world is to see a bus parked out front here and like to see the kids in here playing. It just brings so much value. Like even if a person hasn't even came in, they've seen what's in here
Yeah.
because of these windows. It's just so much value to it. I love it.
Yeah.
So what all does Neighborhood North offer as far as programs, day to day? Like what goes on here? Like,
Yeah, can I go back really quickly to just coming out of COVID and what we
Sure,
did?
yeah.
I want to, just because I think it's important and I think we're excited about it coming out. One of the things that we did during COVID was we thought like, hey, not everyone is going to be coming to the museum, and so we started, we were working on something called Playful Learning Landscapes. And so those are actually museum exhibits that are going to be out in the community. And so there will be one at the practice fields here. They'll all be installed, I think, by November, and then another one down at 2nd Avenue Playground. And then those will be story wheels and a puzzle wall. One's out here, and so we're working on doing some others as well. And so we're really excited about that because we realize that not everyone will maybe come to the museum, but we recognize how important play and learning are. So it's just kind of a marriage of how kids learn and also what's already happening in our community. So partnering with the school and 2nd Avenue Playground, say like what you're doing is really important too, and like we just want to kind of recognize that, you know, the urban environment should be really beautiful. And
Yes.
everybody should be able to have access to good, playful things. So,
all right, okay.
Intent, man.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I think that's powerful. Like,
Yeah.
all over the community. Like, oh, this is Neighborhood North. This is fun. Like, that's
right, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to recognize that. But yeah, so I think on a day-to-day, we have 4 days of open play from 10 to 2. So that's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We hired, like I said, two resident teaching artists. So one's from the Cultural Trust, and then one was from an arts program down in Pittsburgh. And so they're both trained teaching artists. We really recognize that arts integrated teaching is really important, and we value that here. And so on Saturdays, there's just an arts programming in the maker space, and anyone can just come in for that. And then we have an after-school program that we partner with Trails for, and that's going to be on Thursdays. And then we have just a couple of programs coming up that I'll mention really quickly. The Carnegie Science Center is someone we're partnering with. Their Mobile Fab Lab workshop will be coming on September 22nd to the 23rd. And also for after school from 4 to 6, and that's for 1st to 5th graders. And then on September 24th, that's a drop-in from 10 to 2. And that's all free of charge, so come on down, make something amazing, we'd love to see it. And then we have International Dot Day. It's just that we're going to have some fun maker things. So it's around a book that just talks about experiencing creativity and just celebrating that in everybody. And so it's for toddlers and up. So we're going to do really interesting creative maker and art things all throughout the museum. And then the final thing is our cardboard challenge day. We're going to create a cityscape and like a city maze. And so everybody can make a building or a castle or whatever you want that goes into this city. And so we'll provide the cardboard. You just provide yourself, or you can bring a big box if you want. And that's on October 1st. And I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Oh, I guess one more thing.
I'm probably going to make one.
Yeah, everybody should come, 10 to 2. And of course, all of this is just free of charge with admission. And we have a big fundraising event on September 20th. So that's from 6 to 9. And we're raising money to have a climber installed in here. So.
Okay, I was just gonna say a climber, like some kind of wall would be fire. Because I remember one day stuff got stuck, and I was like, oh, that'd be dope if I was a kid and I got to climb that.
Well, we do get to climb that. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
the kids
don't.
can't.
Yeah, the kids can't. So yeah, we're raising funds for that. So that's September 20th, 6 to 9, and we'll, Felicia Mysek will be here doing like a outdoor.
Felicia.
Yeah, she'll be
Girl,
here, which will be awesome. Crop and Kettle is catering it, and yeah, lots of fun. There will be fire trucks, so I'm personally very excited about that. Anything else? It'll be amazing. You should just come.
Just come. It's
Just
going to
come.
be so fun for all ages.
All ages. Yeah.
Okay.
$20 a ticket or donation.
Okay. Is there anything else about Neighborhood North that you guys would want the community to know about?
That you're welcome. That's it. You're so welcome to come in and enjoy and take part, and this is for you.
If someone's out there watching and maybe they're in a political position and they're trying to understand what kind of an impact does a museum have on a community, like what would you say to them?
I mean, we know from other children's museums in other areas like Beaver Falls that this can be the start of something really big for a community. Focusing on our children and nurturing our children changes the tenor. It's hope, right? Because we're doing something to make the next generation see the possibilities and bring parents and grandparents along with that. So to me, having a place where we say we are about curiosity, we're about engagement, we're about learning, we're about hope, says we're doing something important in this community. And it's not just, let's go, let's leave, let's break promises. We're staying.
Yeah, when we invest in our kids, we invest in our generations. And so it's just smart to start investing. It's a long-term succession plan, I guess you can say. Is that the right word?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. It's like a long-term plan for people that need votes to invest in the young voters. So, I mean, of course, like if you get them young and you create hope in them and you engage in them and they learn you and they know you and you know them, connection is everything. Connection starts.
I love everything about this because I remember growing up and just always hearing people complain, even now, oh, they put another dollar store, or they need to do they. It's like who is they? You know what I mean? Like these are people who are building these businesses or not. You can do this. You know what I mean? You are from the community and you're building in the community. So there is no they, it's we. If you have an idea, if you see a problem, fix it like you guys are trying to do. You know what I mean? So hats off to you guys, man. Thank you.
I would say just on the political side too, when you invest in early child care, early childhood, like the pre-K to 5-year-old, right? There's studies shown that like actually investment in that age is more preventative for recidivism than like later on. So like being preventative is actually a better investment of your taxpayer dollars. And I would also say children's museums have historically, in disinvested towns, been an economic generator for other things as well, because people come with their children. You spend money on your kids, right? You do what's fun with your kids, and then you stay and you shop, you go to restaurants and other things like that. So it's actually been, I think it's 70% of children's museums actually are economic generators in towns. So there's something to that.
Okay, all right. Before we close out, can everybody say your names and what your roles are?
I'm Christine Kroger. I'm the founder and executive director.
Okay.
My name's Diana Rice, and I'm the chair of the board of directors here.
I'm Colby Cole, and I am I'm on the board of directors.